Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Brownsville Matters, another edition. I'm your host, Dr. W.F. Strong, and I have with me this morning Tony Estrada, who owns Broken Sprocket, which is the place you may know that has lots of food trucks. And
Yes,
so
sir.
we're going to talk about his unique business within Brownsville and his life here. He's been here as a lifelong Brownsvillian, and so has unique perspectives. Now, Tony, you grew up in Southmost, right?
Yeah, yes, sir. I grew up in Southmost on 32nd Street. We grew up going to church and went to Cromac, Del Castillo, Falk, and then Porter High School.
Did they have the pitada then when you were a kid?
No.
They didn't have that?
No. I like that pitada, but no, they did not
Me too.
have
I
that.
like
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I go, well, not every time, but often when it's a big game and I know that there'll be a big turnout, I'll go over there and get in line.
Yeah.
It's very cool. One thing I like about it is that it's all grassroots. You know, it's kind of chaotic, but there's no police around really. They're not needed, to put it that way.
Right.
It's all pretty peaceful, but a little crazy, you know, like Mardi Gras or something. So you grew up, went to school there in that part of town. Did you pretty much stay there, or did you go around Brownsville, go downtown a lot, or did you kind of
Well, that was where
camped
yeah,
there?
Mr. Strong. That's where my childhood was. When I was 13, we moved over to Fruitdale, which is on Four Corners.
Mm-hmm.
So that took me to a whole different part of town. That was close to Porter High School. So from there, that's where I went to TSC. I started at TSC and went to Pan American University, and then got my grades up, and then I eventually transferred over to the University of Texas in Austin.
Okay.
That's where I cut my teeth.
That's where you really got serious,
UT
right?
Austin, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So did you go to Pan Am? I know that there used to be a small Pan Am presence on the TSC campus.
Correct.
Did you go to that one, or did you go over to Edinburgh?
Oh, no, nothing existed. Well, not that we knew. We did. Back then, we had TSC and Pan American University was here. There was no real merger yet.
Okay.
That didn't happen until UT came to the Valley. But, yeah, at that time, if you didn't have, I didn't have direction. I knew I wanted to be a business owner, but I wasn't really serious about it yet. So I got several jobs. I worked 3 jobs, and I went to school.
Wait. Before we get there,
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to ask you. So you went to school here, and then you transferred to UT as a junior.
Well, I lost a lot of credits, but yeah, that was in theory. I was supposed to be a junior, but I lost a lot of credits. Basically, I wasn't a very good senior, so I had to really work on my grades, and I had to change some lifestyle habits. And so I got serious, cut my hair, and I studied hard. So I really literally had to bring that GPA way up there, and I did. I did what it took, and when I was finally accepted into the University of Texas in Austin, I was really happy.
Well, that was a big deal.
Yeah, it was.
It
Yeah.
was a really big deal to be accepted there. You had to have some pretty good grades, entrance exam, something to get from here to there. Especially if you said you were a bad student, you must have scored high on the SAT or something.
Tenacity. It's just determination. It's just it's a character trait that we're born with, and when you set a goal and you don't let anything get in the way, you know that you have to study hard. My mom would see me study a lot, and so. But I had a mission. I wanted all my friends. What happened? All my friends moved to UT, and my close friends. So I was left behind, and that's when kind of the starting gun had gone off, like in Pink Floyd. I was just stuck behind. Everybody took off on the race, and I was just standing here. So I said, "All right, I got to do something. I have to change my environment. I have to study hard. I want to go to UT with the rest of my buddies," and that's what happened. Mm-hmm.
Well, as a person who's very disciplined with great persistence, do you have any kind of mantra that guides you, that you say to yourself all the time? Something that keeps you inspired? A quote from a famous person?
I don't know about a quote. I just know that, I learned something from my dad. It's like, I'm not going to let anybody outperform me. So I'm going to work hard.
There it is.
And yeah, it's just basically, I want it harder than the guy next to you. UT taught me a lot of fundamentals in business. And we wrote great papers and we had great discussions. But watching my dad at Bayside Marine, the way he led the team, he worked harder than anybody in that team. And so he made sure, and when my dad walked in the door, everybody knew, right? Because he led by example. And so that's what stuck with me, is like, if I'm ever going to have my own business, I got to be the one that works hardest. No one's going to outperform me, and that's basically where I'm at today.
So that is your mantra. No one's going to outperform me.
No one's going to outperform the broken sprocket. That's for sure.
So how long, you were at UT for a couple of years?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, I was one of them. I was on the 6-year plan for the 4-year plan. So.
Well, that was a hard place not to be on the 6-year plan because it was such a fun place at that time, particularly.
Yeah, it was. It was
an interesting musical capital. I mean, it still is, but nothing beat those early years like that.
No, I was there in the 80s, so it was so much fun. Yeah. And I was having a blast, but I had to really work hard. I mean, I graduated like George W. Bush with a 2.8, solid C student, So the funny thing about us C students is we have to work harder, right? I wasn't naturally gifted. I couldn't pick up a book and just memorize it. I had to really, really work hard. So, I repeated out 1 or 2 classes maybe in coding because I wasn't a very good coder. I was an IT management information systems manager.
Well, you were really ahead of your time if you were doing coding.
Yeah, we were coding. Management information systems was a new thing back then for business majors. It focused on technology. And so that was, you go with finance, you go accounting, you could go one direction. I went through technology, and that's how I ended up in Atlanta, when I graduated from UT. I was recruited by a software company, and I spent 30 years there.
Oh, my. You were really at the beginning of the revolution, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
You probably used the computer cards, right?
We did use the computer cards, and then we had the impact printers. We had daisy chain connectivity when people talked about having devices talk to each other without being connected. How is that possible? And now we've got cloud-based technology. You've got data centers that don't even exist at local businesses. They're out in the cloud. So I've seen the whole evolution. Mm-hmm.
And does this help you run the broken sprocket? Excuse me.
Well, it does help me kind of know that I need to stay ahead of the times, and I know I have to be innovative. I have to come up with new ideas. Never sit on your heels. I have to reinvent myself all the time. It does help me. It gives me the right mindset.
Well, that's got to be a driving force for you because, all you have to do is look at the last 20 years and you see how many businesses got outflanked. The first one I ever think of is Blockbuster. Netflix outflanked them and killed them. Mm-hmm. And so if you're not continually adapting, you're at risk. So how long have you owned the Broken Sprocket? I
just completed my 7th year. So I'm started in March. I started at the 8th year.
And did you start it?
Yeah, I was a founder. Yeah, I had a business partner with me. I've had several business partners along the way, but yeah, I had a business partner, and so we kicked off my concept. And but I was a hands-on guy. I was an inventor. I was an innovator. I was the one. It's basically turnkey for him. I'm the one that set the pace and made all the decisions.
You outperformed him.
Yeah, it was me. Yeah, it was me. I was a bartender too.
Oh, you were everything. Janitor.
Still the janitor. I'm the bartender, the plumber, the electrician. Yeah, all of it.
And so what was your concept? Anytime, most people will say, you're going to open a bar, good luck. Because it's a really tough market to be new in anyway. So what was your concept that made you special? Well,
on the way back from Georgia, I went through a divorce. I was coming back, and I stopped along the way, made several trips. I was a senior level project manager working remotely, so I could take my time. And on that journey back, I stopped in Buda, Texas, and went into the Moon Tower. Mm-hmm. And so my niece was working there at the time. So I sat there with my nieces, and I was lost. I didn't know what I was going to do. I know I didn't want to do project management. I knew that for sure, but I had to pay the bills. But then there it was. Mm-hmm. There was a couple of food trucks. They had a great stage, wonderful live music. I've always chased live music my entire life. Mm-hmm. So at that moment, I looked at my niece. I said, I'm going to do this. And she thought I was crazy. She said, do what? I said, this. This is what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm brokenhearted, but I saw a light. This is what I want to do, So I did.
Well, that's interesting. Your niece is obviously younger, and you're the older guy looking at a new trend, and she's saying, "Are you crazy?" And you're saying, "No, it's cool." So you're the one who's anchored in a younger age demographically, so to speak, than she was.
Right? Exactly. Yeah, I saw it clear as day. And so that's kind of where the concept was born. I went through a couple of iterations. I ended up over there at 6305 Paredes Line Road. It's an engineering firm. AJH Engineering is in the front, and I leased the entire back of the property, and that's where we took off. I took off with an outdoor bar, and had a lot of trouble getting my food trucks approved because it was new. It was new to the city. It was new to me, and I had to work carefully with planning and zoning. They were working through their kinks, and I was working through my kinks. But together, it's an art of diplomacy. So you're sitting there with a group knowing that they're probably struggling, understanding how this is going to really work. I was the first food truck park in Brownsville, right? So there was some resistance, and there was some pushbacks, and there was some people that were my champions that were working with me, and there was people inside that were working against me. But we were all trying to just figure it out.
What were the arguments against it? Why did people not want to do it?
The approval of the trucks, how they're very specific, very linear, very narrow way of looking at it. And so they put a lot of restrictions on me. And so we had to work through those restrictions. And I would see trucks that were already at La Pulga, for instance, down the road from me, and they would go right by my food truck park. And but the food trucks that were coming to my food truck park were not being approved because they didn't have a certain dimension, because the countertop wasn't 14 inches, because it wasn't just little things that, come on, guys. So there were things that
were. And where did those regulations come from?
From the city? Yeah, it was an ordinance that was written, and it was written very linear, so it was narrowed, but it was really for the good of the people. It was, the intentions were honorable. I mean, they wanted to keep everybody safe, but it was a roadblock. So it was a big challenge for me to have already invested money into this infrastructure. I already had concrete pads, I had electricity run, I had plumbing run, and I opened the bar with no food trucks. And so everybody thinks I'm crazy. You're going to have food trucks here? It's hot. So I'm out there trying to sell beer, and I'm working through all the kinks with the city, but we got through it, and we became, it's a better relationship because we were able to do it without getting angry at each other, without saying bad things about each other, just going, okay, we're both trying to learn here, right? So the art of diplomacy.
The food trucks that you have there are all you need? Like if I had a food truck and I wanted to come there, are you booked, or do you have room for me? I
have room for 3 more food trucks, right? And so right now I have a sushi, I have a Mexican concept, a seafood, I have a pizza and wings, and kind of bar food concept and a barbecue concept. But
wow,
I have to be
anything you want.
Well, but I want to be creative. I consider the broker Sprocket an incubator. So what I want to do is have a place for people that'll bring in a cuisine that maybe that no one's tried. So like say Indian food, for instance, you're going to go ahead and get into a brick and mortar, invest a lot of money, blah, blah, blah. And then it may or may not work. Instead, why don't you come to the Broken Sprocket? Let's have the first Indian concept in town. You build your following. You build your client base. You bring people to the Sprockets. That's a whole key to having a good food truck. You need to bring me customers, not harvest my customers. It's a very difficult concept for the food truck vendors to understand. But we're friends, but you're here to help me too, right? So the incubation. So now you have people that are starting to taste Indian food, and they become addicted to that Indian food. And then so eventually you'll go ahead and say, well, I have my following now. Tony, thank you very much. I'm going to open a brick and mortar. And then you can either take your truck with you or leave it here. But now at least you've had a stepping stone into this market.
Great.
Into this market.
That's wonderful.
That's why I'm very picky of what I bring in, because I don't want to just have – Brownsville's famous for tacos, right? So I could have 8 taco trucks in there. I'm not after that. I'm after like having one really good concept, protecting that concept so the person has a chance to make a living. But so I protect the cuisines. So if you do have a food truck, and I do have room for you, you would have to get a hold of me. You can call me at 404-644-7202. I'm always pitching my stuff. But I will listen to your concept, and then I have to work with my existing food truck vendors. I want to make sure that they're comfortable.
How about Thai food?
I would love to have a Thai restaurant. I would love to have Thai food in there. Yes, I think Thai would do very, very well. In fact, I have sushi, but I don't have Asian. So there's a difference. And Thai would be tremendous.
Well, if you look around places in Texas where food trucks are very popular, what are the most popular brands, you might say, or cuisines? Obviously the barbecue is going to be one, or some version of barbecue, and the wings, I guess, is one, right?
Sure.
Sushi, no doubt.
Yeah, and pizzas are also very, very popular. And of course taco trucks. Those are very popular too. So I would say that maybe a noodle truck, that ramen noodle fusion thing,
really?
That would be good. Or maybe even something as crazy as French cuisine, except it's hot. That requires a little bit.
Yeah.
But something crazy and fancy is what I'm after, right? And I think for some reason Indian pops out, because I was addicted to it in Atlanta, because there's a lot of similarities between that food and Mexican food. It's very spicy, different type of spice, but it's spicy, it's flavorful. The naan bread is almost like a flour tortilla, but it's different, and the rice is jasmine, fermented. Yeah, so there's I did have an Asian, I had a Polynesian concept in there too. And so that was a good concept. They did island food, so it just depends. I'm open for a lot of ideas.
Where did they go? The Polynesian.
Well, it was just you got to be careful of what you're doing. And that specific concept it requires a lot of time, and so they were both professionals. The owners were professionals, and so their careers were far more demanding, and they couldn't find the right labor to sustain the truck. Well, they had to be there, so it just became a little bit too much. And when you weigh out how much you're making at the food truck versus what you're making in your career, so they had to refocus where the money was, right? So
if I bring in my Thai truck, I pay you a fee to lease a space.
Correct.
There, and then do you get a percentage of the food I sell?
Yes, yeah. And it's basically I've got the most generous deal in town. It's 10% of sales comes through the broken Sprocket. There's a minimum of $300 a month that you have to at least do that, or else I can't pay the bills. But the concept is that as we grow, as a park grows, then the more money you make, the more I make.
So you pay my electricity?
We all split electricity.
All right.
Everybody splits the electrical bill. We're all on the same meter.
And water? There's water hooked up to these?
We got water. Yes, we have water. We have electrical, and we have a 1,000-gallon grease trap in the back. So it's all very environmentally safe. We grab all the wastewater and grease, and we have a recycling bin for recycling grease. So we're conscious of the environment too, right? So when you come to me, you're going to have, I give them actually too much. You're going to have all the entertainment. I pay for all the entertainment, and then you have all the seating, and you have the lighting now. I have a shade system in place. So it's all the food trucks have to do is buckle down, advertise, and find customers. They have a place now and then I provide the full service bar.
Do you have some of these trucks that have been there for 3 or 4 years?
Yeah, one's going on 3 years.
Going on 3 years. So what are your big nights?
Our big what?
Your big nights.
The big nights.
There?
Well, of course on the weekends are big, but like today, for instance, I started this thing during the winter called Loteria night.
Loteria, good.
Loteria night. Now, I don't have a gambling
license.
I don't have a gambling license, so all I do is I facilitate the game. It's 100% payout. But and I was going to discontinue it, but man, like the people that were doing it were like, no, don't do it, don't do it. I got some older, an older audience, let's say, and they come in, and that's what they do on Thursday, right? Yeah. But what I'm doing today is I'm going to put it all in a blender. I've got a jazz band that's coming in because it's a softer music, so not everybody plays Loteria, so I'll have jazz going on in the background with Loteria. So that all of a sudden Thursdays became a thing.
Talk about your fusion.
That's a fusion right there, yeah. I also do wine nights where I have a connoisseur that knows a lot about wines. We moved that to once a month, but we have wine nights where you can literally come in. We'll feature 3 bottles of wine for $20. You get the flight, and you also get a description of each wine, attention to each table. And now I'm going to introduce a whiskey night. So I'm telling the competition what I'm doing, but that's okay. I'm bringing in a whiskey night. So I'm going to bring in 3 bottles of whiskey. So for a set price, you're going to get three flights of whiskey, an explanation of all the whiskeys, and I'm going to welcome you to bring your cigars. So I want to have whiskey cigar night because I can. I'm an outdoor place.
You're an outdoor
right?
place, so you can.
I mean, the competition can try, but you can't smoke inside, right?
So you have no inside.
No inside seating. Currently, no inside seating. There's some plans. There's some talks. That may change, but right now I'm not counting on it yet.
And how do you deal with? What makes you cancel, so to speak? I'm sure Blue Norther comes through. You can't operate in that. Right?
Yeah, we're susceptible to the weather.
Yeah.
And I just added some shade structures to the park, so we're a little less susceptible, but only with a light rain. But I am susceptible to the weather.
What you said, shade structures. What is that?
Well, I was completely wide open, so at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it's 90 degrees.
Oh yeah,
I'm not getting any customers.
It can be brutal out there.
Yeah. So I had to bring in some shade. Yeah, and so I put some big structures. They're beautiful. You can find them on our page. But now people can sit in the shade, and what it did, it created an acoustic thing that by chance. So it was an acoustic in front of my stage. Now it captures that sound and it keeps it in the park, so you don't have to play it so loud.
Happy accident.
A happy accident.
Now, so you have all kinds of music also? You have jazz,
Tejano,
rock and roll.
country, rock and roll. I'm an old hippie, so it's all mostly rock and roll. I get a lot of slack for that, but all my friends play rock and roll. All my friends, they play blues. That's kind of what my sweet spot is. But and 80s rock. But no, we also have some local talent. We have, again, Tejano. I have a close relationship with the South Texas Conjunto Association, so we'll bring the Conjunto guys out there. We're out there twice a year. So we span the globe. We've even had punk night. So we have punk rockers, man. And I've caught it, man. Some people get angry, so I have to really, really advertise it right. I'm changing gears this year.
How about rap night?
I've had hip hop.
You've had hip hop?
I've had hip hop, and it worked out pretty good.
Maybe, do you know, I ask everybody this question, not everybody, but people who should know or have insights, the difference between rap and hip hop. Is there any difference?
Well, one is just complete verbal, right? Verbal, and hip hop's got more of a beat, so more of a beat to it, more of a dance to it versus just talking in rhythm, I would think. Yeah.
Okay. That sounds reasonable. When you were in Austin, were you there for the Armadillo headquarters? Was that operating in your time?
I don't recall.
The World Armadillo headquarters, I think it was
I remember
called.
the Buck Room, and I remember some of the places where, Jerry Jeff Walker would hang out, I saw Willie a few times, and I follow music. I followed music my entire life, all through the time when I was in Austin, and even when I got to Georgia, I had my favorite blues bars. I knew the local musicians. I would be traveling around. That's what I did. I've always chased live music, and so now I'm in the live music business. And it happened. I've got people. I get advice all the time. They want me to change what I'm doing, and they're telling me what I'm doing is all wrong.
People are always good about doing that when they don't own the business. They have great ideas.
I know. They're saying that every successful food truck park does not have live music. And so that the live music is a hindrance to my people that want to eat. So that if I want to be profitable, that I should just cut out live music altogether and just become a food truck park, which, I guess – my financials would agree with them that it's not profitable to have live music, but my heart doesn't agree with them. So that's the thing. And I'm not in business solely for profitability, right? Profitability is a byproduct of my effort and what I put in. And sometimes I win and sometimes I lose. But if I was in it just for profit, then I'd be selling you cheap beer at a high price. At the Broken Sprocket, you get the latest craft beers. You're going to pay a fair price for everything that I sell, but all of my beer is ice cold, and my craft beers span a big offering. And then I have the only outdoor open air bar in Brownsville. You're not going to go outside and have a drink anywhere but the Broken Sprocket. It took me a long time to get that approved.
And so it was hard actually to get an approval for an outdoor bar?
Oh yeah. I was. It took a lot of convincing, again, diplomacy with the city of Brownsville, and I had to do exactly what they needed for me to do to keep everybody safe. And
well,
there was
why is it unsafe to have an outdoor bar?
Well,
I would think there would be things that would make it more safe.
I think that was the argument that I had with him. So it was just basically my ability to keep everything sanitized, which we do anyway. And there was some theoretical things about outdoor bars, being more prone to germs. And so I couldn't get them to convince me they couldn't show me the science behind that one.
And here we live in a city where people are always in their backyards,
right.
their backyard bar.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and then we have, the bars in South Padre Island. We got some in Harlingen. So we had to go through the whole thing. But again, very, very.
But this isn't a BYOB bar.
No
right?
way. No. And I'm regulated by TABC. No, I can't have. I catch people all the time trying to sneak in stuff, and you can't do that.
Well, since you have this beautiful concept, and I love your passion for what you're doing to create a cultural event that is meaningful, in addition to making money, that you have a passion for what you're doing. Have you thought of another version of this? Like you said to me earlier that you love downtown. Have you thought I could do a version of this downtown?
I could with the right investor. I could. I'm spread thin financially, but I have the brains for it. And I would do it. The only place I would consider downtown, I think there's another park already that went up there, but I would probably get it closer to the campus. I think if I could convince a college campus to allow me to do a food truck park in their, it'd be a perfect thing. It'd be a perfect marriage, right? They would eliminate the need for having a mess hall, and give the students a big variety of food, and then I could run it.
As one who lives on campus practically, I can tell you that they need some diversity in the cuisine there. There's not a lot of options for the students, and it's kind of boring.
Well, and that's the thing. If somebody were to approach me, I'm the inventor because I know exactly what it takes, and I know that I would find the right food trucks to do it. And the key is shade, fans, but also create some entertainment for the students, right? And got so much talent at the campus too. You could have the students play. They love to entertain each other down there. And so conceptually, I mean, it's just hard to get through the layers of bureaucracy here in town, right? So.
Do you remember when you went to TSC, you remember the little amphitheater there that was on campus? They used to have Battle of the Bands.
Sure.
There back in the 80s.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a Shakespearean theater, but
it
ended up a rock haven.
I think we'd make a lot of money there. Not only that, the campus would make a lot of money. I could get them to develop it, and I would manage it for them, because it would have to be done right.
Sure.
It's like everything else. If you're going to do it the right way. And of course, you're not going to have a lot of liquor in the campus, so you're not going to make it on the bar side. You have to do it solely. There you would have to do it solely on the food.
Well, you take that area where the old Holiday Inn was taken out and the Ramada Inn. I mean, it's a huge parking lot.
I scoped it out.
Oh, did you?
So many times because I also want to get into the concert business, and I've studied that parking lot, and I've studied it, and I've looked at it. I just don't have the right contacts. But that would be a great place because you could really crank out some tunes, and nobody's going to know. There's be no noise complaints out there. You got the Border Patrol across the street. They'll probably welcome some good music.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of parking.
Well, you need to talk to your tocayo, Tony Savaleta, and because he's the one who
he controls it.
Oh, he doesn't control it. He's on the board. So, TSC board. So
yeah.
At
one time,
he's
I
an
think
old Brownsville boy. He might be into it.
There was a place in the back hall. What is that? There's a park in the back there, isn't there? Way in the back. Forget the name of that park.
Oh, the Lincoln Park?
Yes. And then a long time ago, I was thinking about creating another concept out there called the Tone at Lincoln Park, right? For music. Because I saw that, the baseball field back there, right? All that whole area would be perfect.
It'd be great if we could get Lincoln Park to play in Lincoln Park.
There is. I thought about that. The opening act would be, you're thinking just like me, Mr. Strong. The opening act would be Lincoln Park, the Tone at Lincoln Park featuring Lincoln Park. I mean, it was all in my head conceptually. And I did talk to the city, and we looked at about a bunch of different options. It just never really... I'm the guy with the brains. I just need somebody in there to bring in the money, and I'll make them tenfold.
There was talk once about making a swap or something of taking the Lincoln Park. With the university was going to take it over, and then they were going to put the Lincoln Park over. The university owns land, what they call the Duck Head, that's on the other side of the expressway.
Okay.
Just down the road and across the expressway along the Resaca over there. Back when UTB was going to be just its own university, and they were talking about expanding it to a larger university. That was where the soccer fields and everything were going to be. So now it's, obviously the merger occurred and things are different. So they talked about that, but the people of Brownsville didn't like the idea, whoever the people are. You never know what contingent we're talking about exactly. But I think it had more to do with the students, because students park for free at Lincoln Park.
Oh, yeah.
It has a lot of space.
Yeah.
So they don't pay the university fee. They go over there and park, and the city doesn't charge them. So.
That's a nice thing to have, free parking. You're a student. You don't have a lot of money.
It is nice.
I mean?
Yeah, they have to walk a pretty good distance, many of them,
But it's free.
But it's free.
Yeah,
so
I would walk it.
It's a good deal.
Yeah, I walked the University of Texas. That campus is huge. I walked a lot. Skateboarded mostly, but
well, now they have. You see students with these scooters, the electrical battery-powered scooters that they fly. They're moving along. I saw a girl yesterday. I swear she's going 25 miles an hour down the sidewalk, and I said, "Well, there's an accident.
Oh yeah,
there's an accident coming."
Gotta have a helmet.
Well, over there in Austin, they have a big problem with all the scooters they rent, and they say big business in the emergency room.
Yeah. It's a small wheelbase in that front. Yeah.
And then they're going pretty fast and not much protection. Doesn't take much of a fall to break an arm or whatever. So, they're not exactly donor scooters like motorcycles, but well, it's great to have you come in. I'm happy to know about your concept, and also great to hear from you personally and your passion for the cause to make Brownsville a little better in your universe up there. You offer us cultural cuisine, really, a variety of things to sample. That's good.
And I remember when I left. I left Brownsville because there was nothing to do. So one of the underlying currents for the Broken Sprocket is to create a place where we can retain our youth. And how do you do that? Well, you give them cool stuff to do, right? So keep them entertained, right? And so I'm trying to do that.
And let them be the entertainment as well.
Yeah.
Give them a venue to perform and grow their skills.
We're very family friendly. That's the one thing about our place. We're family friendly, and right now I have a vendor, just like a food truck vendor, and they're interested in converting my dog park into a kid zone where you could literally bring your children, and we'll have a stage for puppets or and then or a movie, and have games for them to play, so that now you have a place where you can bring your kids, almost like a built-in babysitter, right? And now the parents can mingle, and the kids can be entertained, and everybody's happy.
Yeah, it's kind of a popular thing now, and a lot of people get together in backyards and watch movies.
Yeah.
Kind of a new version of drive-in theater, except it's in a backyard, a little cozier, more intimate,
Yeah.
So, well, you're a man who never quits thinking, I can tell. You've always got another idea, right?
Yeah, I got a lot of ideas.
Probably have several a day. ¿Sabes qué? We could do this.
Well, I tell you, there's so many subgroups. I'll give you one last example. I have Brownsville's known for chess players, right? And we're ranked nationally. So I'm in talks with some people right now that have these big chess groups. And so what I want to do is I want to have a chess night for all of these students, because I am a bar, but I never set out to own a bar. It's just part of a consequence of my vision. It's just part of it, But so just imagine having 30 of the top players in town and invite people from the entire Rio Grande Valley to have chess tournaments. And instead of having a musician on the stage, that's a championship stage. So for that night, we're going to have these tournaments, and we're going to build it up to the grand champion. Instead of the musicians on the big stage, we got the players on the big stage. And so now what you have is an environment where the parents, because these kids can't drive, they can have a cocktail or two. All the kids can eat, and now we have a shade structure. So now we have a chess night. And I think chess night at the Broken Sprocket would be fantastic. Again, branching out into other avenues and allowing my place to be used for other things. So God bless me with this huge, I have an acre, right? And I tell this to a lot of people that approach me, like, let's put it to use. We've had fundraisers there for people with cancer, where we donate proceeds of our sales to them, and then they bring in music. We've helped people with different campaigns. We've helped people that that are trying to raise funds for animals. So right now we have a dog adoption day once a month where we're trying to find homes.
You do everything.
For the dogs. We're trying to. I'm community based, right? So and the community. Endorses me, and they appreciate what I do. I just need more business.
So really, you're a nonprofit.
By accident.
You're out there doing good for the community, and all your profit is going out to helping the community. You're a philanthropist.
Well, that happened by accident. But in order for the philanthropy work to continue, we do need to support the community.
You need both. You need both. Absolutely. Thanks for coming in. Good to meet you, buddy.
Thank you, Mr. Trump.
Thanks for watching this BSPA video. Go ahead and hit like and subscribe if you like what you see. And if you really like what you see, go ahead and go to our website, brosoperformingarts.org, and smash the donate button. And then we'll really like you too.